All right. So, how many people? This is their first Pesach or Passover. I mean, uh-huh. Okay. First one. Period. Everyone's done it every year, but okay, great. So, So everyone's an expert. We should be fine. Okay, we're gonna find out in just a minute. All right. So before I really get into, well, let me just tell you the three things we're going to talk about, and then we'll see. So we'll be reading about this day first. After that, we will break down the word Pesach. Lastly, what does this mean to you or to you all, right? So we're going to read it first, the whole thing, right? The whole Shemot, Exodus chapter 12. And then after that, the next one is we're going to go over the word Pesach. Question, what does the word Pesach mean? Okay, you say Passover. How many agree? This is why we're going over it. Okay. All right. No problem. All right. So first we'll read about it. It says, "This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you." So why does he need to say this will be the month, the beginning of the year to you? Why does he need to say that? Did something change? Has it always been that way? What's going on? Okay, they're in Egypt. That's one, but did the year change? Okay, no worries. Speak unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month, they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for a house. And if the house will be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb. For the lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. You shall take it out from the lamb or from the goats, and you shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month, and the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. Okay, now mind you, though it says evening in the King James, if you look it up in the Hebrew, it says in between the evenings, okay, not in the evening. All right, and they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts and on the upper doorposts of the houses wherein they shall eat it. And they shall eat the flesh in that night. So it's killed in between the evenings, then you eat it at night, okay? Roast with fire and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs. They shall eat it. Eat not of it raw, nor sudden at all with water, meaning don't boil it, but roast with fire his head and his legs, and with the appurtenance, or all the insides thereof. And you shall let nothing of it remain until the morning. And that which remains of it until the morning you shall burn with fire. And thus shall you eat it with your loins girded, with your shoes, or technically your sandals, on your feet, and your staff in your hand. And you shall eat it. Is called the Passover. Now I highlight Passover because we got to come back to the word Passover, or it's being translated as Pesach. Okay, keep that in mind. For I will pass through the land of Mitzrayim, or Egypt, this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim, or Egypt, both man and beast, and against all of the Elohims of Mitzrayim I will execute judgment. Ani Yahuah, I am Yahuah. So we'll talk more about this next year. I'm just going to tell you some things we're going to talk about next year really fast. We're going to talk about these Elohims of Egypt. You know, every year is going to be a progression of what's happening. We're also going to next year talk about how many unleavened bread, how many made unleavened bread or will be making unleavened bread for the 7 days. Okay, tell me your ingredients. Type of flour.
Unleavened flour that can't have any barley in it. So it's just unleavened. It's not the rising flour, not that self-rising flour.
Okay, no self-rising flour. Okay, anyone else? Unbleached. What else? Huh? Olive oil. Okay, what else you gonna put in it? Water. Okay, something sweet like honey. Okay. No. Some salt, some sea salt. Okay. So the reason I'm asking this is because the question would be for next year is going to be in this time, was the flour barley or wheat? That's the question. How many knows the answer? Awesome. So we'll see it next year. Okay. Right. Right. We got to see what happens though. We'll talk about how that works, how yeast works a little bit today, but more on it next year. All right. 13. It says, the blood shall be to you for a token or a sign upon the houses where you are, and when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Mitzrayim or Egypt. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and you shall keep it a feast to Yahuah throughout your generations. You shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. So this is a memorial, right? Sometimes people get caught up with, we have to do it exactly the way that they do it versus understanding memorial. Again, we'll talk about that next year. 7 days shall you eat unleavened bread. Even the first day you shall put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eats leavened bread from the first day unto the 7th day, that soul should be cut off from Israel or Israel. So you're going to see unleavened bread. How you say unleavened bread in Hebrew? Matzah. And let's just say leaven is or. And it says leavened bread is chametz. So we'll talk about that in a minute. All right, keep this in mind. And it be the first day there shall be a Chodesh convocation, or set apart convocation, or set apart gathering, which we're doing now. And on the 7th day there shall be a set apart or Chodesh convocation to you. No manner of work shall be done in them, save the which every man must eat, that only may be done of you. And you shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for in this selfsame day shall I brought your armies out of the land of Mitzrayim or Egypt. Therefore shall you observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever. In the first month of the 14th day of the month at evening, you shall eat unleavened bread until the 1 and the 21st day of the month at evening. 7 days shall there be no leaven found in your houses. For whosoever eat that which is leavened shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel or Israel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land. Question, I got a couple questions. One is, it says, for an example, no leaven found in your houses. So has everyone went to their houses and started looking to see what had leaven and yeast and vinegar and seor and things that are fermented, right? All right. And then after they've done all of that good stuff, did they start going through themselves and start saying, I wonder what's leavening me. I wonder if I got a problem with somebody. I wonder if there's some issues that I need to get rid of, because if not, that can leaven you. Okay, is everyone with me so far? All right, that's my first question. My second one is, it says, whosoever eats leavened bread shall be cut off from among the congregation, whether it be stranger or born in the land. Are you saying strangers can be a part of this too? Okay, so we'll read about that. What type of stranger can be a part of this? Huh? Okay. All right, so can all of them? They have to be circumcised. Okay. Those that live in your house. Well, what stranger can't? The only one is the uncircumcised. Is there any other type? Okay, non-believers. All right. All right, so we'll see a little bit more on that one. You shall eat nothing leavened. In all your habitations shall you eat unleavened bread. All right, so defining words. So matzah, unleavened bread. It says unleavened cake, right? Flat made of barley, meal, and water. Okay, barley, meal, and water. I don't know how many made barley unleavened. How many brung barley unleavened today? Because I know this we're going to eat today, because I know we all said we've seen this every year, and we've been doing this. So we got barley unleavened in the back, or we got flour, wheat flour. Which one do we get? Okay, so that's what I'm saying. We got to talk about some of these things. All right, unleavened bread made without yeast, bread quickly made. So this particular bread is supposed to be, or cake is supposed to be sweet. Okay, it's called a sweet cake of barley, right? So my next question is, what's another word? So we know what the word for bread, matzah. Is there another definition for this word? Have you looked that up? Okay, no worries. I know. What's that?
Strife and contention.
What? Get out of town. Matzah also means strife and contention. Now tell me about that. I'm talking about those that do this every year, because that was everybody in here almost, right? Okay. No one has a clue, maybe a shot?
Well, because I'm looking at leaven as being sin. So when you're looking within yourself, if you got strife with someone, or contention, whatever problem, you're cleansing that out of yourself. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I apologize. When I look at leaven as sin. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah.
When I look at it as that leaven is being sin, not the yeast part, but I'm talking about when you're looking within yourself, you have to take and remove that, whether it be the strife, contention, attitudes, whatever it is that's in you. That's
okay. So that's good with leaven, right?
Yeah.
Question. This is unleavened.
Well,
how does that work?
Unleavened?
This is matzah. Anyone else? All right. So again, because normally on feast days, I try not to teach more than I just try to bring something to light. Because normally feast day is a day of celebration. It's a day of, thinking about the Most High. So, but what I want you all to do is go back and read and figure out some things. There's a couple of scriptures already there for you, right? Figure out what's happening. Why is this word matzah for unleavened bread or unleavened cakes also has a meaning for contention and strife, right? Because we definitely don't want that during this time period, right? Okay, great. Seor, okay, this is word for leaven. It's from the Latin fermentum. The nomadic ancestry of the Hebrew, like the Bedouins today, fermented or barm, okay, fermented or barm. So if you've ever seen how Bedouins operate in the land, some of us have, their bread is really good. It is really soft, tastes really good. So they still practice the old way of doing things. Question, what's barm? From beer? Okay, anyone else? Talk to me, all you veterans. Okay, no worries. Barm is the foam or scum formed on the top of fermented liquids, such as beer, that bubbly stuff, that's barm, okay? Such as beer, wine, or feedstock. It says what? For spirits or industrial ethanol distillation. It was used to leaven bread or set up for fermentation in a new batch of liquor. Barm as a leaven has also been made from ground millet, combined with must out of wine. I was going to get a video of that, but I think it would be too much time for all that stuff. Wine tubs, and sometimes used in English baking as a synonymous with a natural leaven. Various cultures derived from barm became ancestral to most forms of brewers, yeast and bakers yeast currently on the market. So, question here I put on it: you should have gotten this out of your house, your system, before the nightfall. Okay, so this is why we have issues with, let's say, alcohol, right? But my question to you is, what does it mean, feedstock for spirits? Okay, but why specifically barm? Okay, so again, we'll talk about it when? All right, great. You got plenty of time to do a research. Chametz. So we got the first part, which is things dealing with like alcohols and things that are fermented, right? Chametz, leaven or leavened bread, this is primary word for a food which is in process of fermenting or fermented. Normally, it is limited to the grain foods, wheat, barley, and spelt in the Old Testament. These grains are theologically significant because when the ground and mixed with yeast, their use is prohibited in certain religious activities. In the discussion of the verb form, which we'll talk about in the future, it was noted that everyone who ate leavened bread during the Pesach could be excommunicated. Okay, how are we doing so far? We tracking? All right, great. We'll keep going. 21. And Moses called for all the elders of Israel and said unto them, draw out and take you a lamb according to your families, and kill the Passover. And you shall take a bunch of hyssop and dip it in blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel and the two side posts with the blood that is in the basin. And none of you shall go out at the door for his house until the morning. For Yahuah passed through to smite Et Mitzrayim, or the Egyptians, and when he sees the blood upon the lintel and on the two side posts, Yahuah will pass over the door. And who's passing over this? Might add, who? Okay, but who also? Okay, so right. But I want you to see something here. Question is, are they the same? No? Okay. So keep this in mind. So the door and will not suffer the destroyer to come in unto your houses to smite you. And you shall observe this thing for an ordinance to do to you and to your sons forever. And it shall come to pass when you come to the land which Yahuah will give you, according as he has promised, that you shall keep this service. And it shall come to pass when your children shall say unto you, what mean you by this service? That you shall say, it is a sacrifice of Yahuah's Pesach or Passover, whose Passover the house of the children of Israel in Mitzrayim or Egypt, when he smote the Egyptians and delivered our houses. And the people bowed the heads and worshipped. And the children of Israel went away and did as Yahuah has commanded Moshe and Aharon and Aaron, so did they. And it came to pass that midnight Yahuah smote all the firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim or Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne unto the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeon, and all firstborn of cattle. And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants and all of the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Mitzrayim or Egypt, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. Okay, is everyone with me so far? And he called for Moses and Aaron by night, and he said, rise up and get you forth from among my people, both you and the children of Israel, and go serve Yahuah as you have said. Also take your flocks and your herd as you have said, and be gone and bless me also. So He after that big cry, he heard it. He also want a blessing? Okay. And the Egyptians were urging upon the people that they might send them out of the land and have, for they said, we'll be all dead men. So they were so scared of the Elohim of Israel that they were willing to give, right? So it says, and the people took their dough before it was leavened. This is going to be the point of this kneading trough. What does a kneading trough look like? Anyone know? A kneading trough. Wooden bowl. Okay.
I thought it was like a round wheel.
Round wheel?
Or something like that.
You watch your Ema do that.
I watched the Food Network.
Okay. All right. We'll see in a minute. I got a picture for you. All right. Being bound up in their cloth upon their shoulders. And the children of Israel did according to the word of Moses and Moshe, and they borrowed from the Egyptians. Now you imagine they borrowed. Did you think they gave it back? All right. So that must mean borrow must mean a different word in this day. All right. And jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment. And Yahuah gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they lent unto them such things as they required. And they spoiled the Egyptians. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Sukkot, about 600,000 on foot, that were men beside children. And a mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds, even very much cattle. And they baked unleavened cakes on the dough, which they brought forth out of Mitzrayim or Egypt, for it was not leavened, because they were thrust out of Mitzrayim or Egypt, and could not tarry, neither had they prepared for themselves any victual. Now the journey of the children of Israel, who dwelt in Mitzrayim or Egypt, was 430 years. All right. So this is the trough, the kneading trough, right? You get your one that you see today, and then you see some ones they found on the walls back in Egypt. Okay? Yeah, inside. Sure do. All right. Almost there. This is the last part of the Pesach here, and then we'll get into the word Pesach. And it came to pass at the end of the 430 years, even the self-same day, it came to pass that all the hosts of Yahuah, went out from the land of Mitzrayim or Egypt. It is that night to be much observed unto Yahuah for bringing them out from the land of Mitzrayim or Egypt. This is that night of Yahuah to be observed of all the children of Israel in their generations. Now, we'll hear the part about who can have. And Yahuah said unto Moshe, Moses, and Aaron, this is the ordinance of the Pesach or the Passover. There shall no stranger eat thereof, but every man's servant that is brought for money, when you have circumcised him, then shall he eat thereof. Okay, so I'll stop there. So who can eat this? Servant, male servant that has been paid for, right? Paid for and circumcised. Now, mind you, this is connected to the circumcision covenant with Abraham, right? Okay, great. Then it says, listen to it. A foreigner and a hired servant shall not eat thereof. Why not? Huh?
They're not circumcised or attached to the
Well, suppose they're circumcised.
They're not attached to the covenant. They're not circumcised to Yahuah.
Okay, so we understand that. Think about it. If the lights went out, you hire someone to do it. They could be circumcised, right? They do the lights, whatever. Wow, that lamb smells good. Oh, can I get a little bite? Why can't this person get a little bite? Because it's a set apart convocation. Remember, we read that. This is set apart. This is not just a regular meal for everybody. This is a special meal for his people. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right. 46 says, in one house shall it be eaten. You shall not carry forth out of the flesh abroad out of the houses, neither shall you break a bone thereof. All the congregation of Israel shall keep it. And when a stranger shall sojourn with you and will keep the Pesach or the Passover to Yahuah, let all his male be circumcised, and then let him come near and keep it. So he has to do that first before he can even come near to be a part of this. And he shall be as one that is born in the land, for no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. One law shall be for him that is homeborn and unto stranger that sojourns among you. Thus did all the children of Israel, as Yahuah commanded Moses and Aaron, so did they. And it came to pass the selfsame day that Yahuah did bring the children of Israel out of the land of Mizraim by their armies. All right, so that's the story. Everyone's familiar with it, with some new nuances that you guys are going to research, right? All right. Where did the name Passover come from? How do you know that's right? Passover, right? Because King James told me. Right? Okay. Keep that in mind. Is Passover a good translation for Pesach? What is the basis for this translation? You said you need a mic? You want him to get some exercise. Okay.
The basis for that would be in conjunction with the blood on the doorpost. The children of Israel having that there that the destroyer will pass over them. So I guess they coined that Passover for the actual feast that was approaching.
Okay. Everyone agree? Everyone agree? Not too many people with you. I don't know what's happening.
I think it has more to do with the word closely relate more to like a skip over and like a deliverance, like you have mercy on someone or you spare someone and anything else.
Okay. Now, keep this in mind. Here we go. Shemot 12:13. It says, and the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, right? It says, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Mitzrayim. Okay, everyone sees this, right? Everyone agrees with this translation? Okay. Let's look at another one. All of these are ones we just read. Now we're just homing in on them. 23. For Yahuah will pass through to smite the Egyptians, and when he sees the blood upon the lintel and on the two side posts, Yahuah will pass over the door and will not suffer the destroyer to come in unto your houses to smite you. We read that, correct? And that you shall say, it is the sacrifice of Yahuah's Passover, who passed over the house of the children of Israel, when he smote the Egyptians and delivered our houses, and the people bowed the head and worshipped. All right. Here we go. Anyone know this guy? Tyndale? Heard of him? The Tyndale Bible? Okay, great. Tyndale was a learned man who knew Hebrew and Greek. In this rendition, Pesach, as Passover, he was quite possibly influenced by David Kimchi, the renowned Hebrew grammarian and exegetic whose work was well known in Christian Hebraic circles. In his dictionary, the Serif HaShorshim, or the Book of Roots, Kimchi has lengthy history about Pesach. After listing the occurrences of this word, Pesach, which means to him in his book, lame, and he continues to say this. We're not going to go over all of this, but this is from his book. So if you guys want to read about that, that's all fine and good. But it's about Pesach. So the word Passover, Tyndale and Radach, the translation was based on the earlier translation by the scholar, the theologian William Tyndale, 1494 to 1536, who wrote the first complete English translation of the Bible. Tyndale is credited with introducing the word Passover into the English language. And then from there, the King James adopted it. Okay? Now, so we got this Hebrew scholar, we got Tyndale. We should say, hey, this is all good. So if it's not, we should probably take a look at some other things just in case. I'm trying to ride with Joseph. All right. Looking at Isaiah or Yahuah 31, I got the King James, I got the ESV, and I got the JPS. Okay? King James, staying strong. As birds fly, so will Yahuah of hosts defend Jerusalem, or all Jerusalem. Defending also, he will deliver it, and Passover, Pasuach, he will preserve it. Okay? ESV says, like birds hovering, so Yahuah of hosts will protect Jerusalem. He will protect and deliver it. He will change. He will spare and rescue it. JPS says, like the birds that fly, even so will Yahuah of hosts shield Jerusalem, shield and save and protecting and rescuing. Something's changing. Why do they change it? Okay? Don't you worry, because I know y'all two are together. Don't y'all go nowhere. All right, so notice in these three translations, King James sticks to passing or Passover. However, in the other translation, they use it synonymously with to spare or to protect. Okay, so everyone sees that part. Okay, great. Let's look at this revised version. See what happens if we plug in the word from just first from Isaiah, and then we'll keep going from there. So it says, and the blood on the houses where you are staying shall be a sign for you. When I see the blood, I will protect you so that no plague will destroy you when I strike the land of Mitzrayim. Sounds okay, right? But I like Passover, right? Okay, all right. 23, for when Yahuah goes through to smite the Egyptians, he will see the blood on the lintel and the two doorposts, and Yahuah will protect the door and not let the destroyer enter and smite your home. Okay? Everyone's still with me, right? So it's working with the other translations outside of King James, right? I'm sorry if you're a King James fan. I don't mean to go against that book that you put underneath your pillow or that Gideon Bible you see at the hotel drawer. Okay? All right. 12:27. You shall say, it is a sacrifice or protection to Yahuah because he protected the houses of the Israelites in Mitzrayim or Egypt when I smote the Egyptians and saved our houses. The people then bow low in homage. All right, so one can say, yeah, that sounds good. You revised it, you changed it, but who are you? Because you're not going to find this translation nowhere. This is me doing it, okay? This one here. All right, so now we got to say something here. First, I want you to understand Elohim was taking an active role in protecting the Israelites from the Moloch destroyer. So there was two out there. And that destroyer was let loose. Remember when we talked about the other Elohims and Malachims and how that works in other lessons? He was there and the destroyer was there. Okay? But we won't be talking about that today. Okay, the other part. The picture is clear in verse 23, where we see Elohim portrayed as standing in front of the door of the Israelites' homes, preventing the destroyer, the Moloch, from entering. Note the change in agency between verse 13 and 23. Okay, everyone sees that, right? All right. Now we're going into the Septuagint. How many is familiar with the Septuagint or the LXX? Who's not ever heard of that? Everyone's heard of the Septuagint, right? All right. Just so you know that the Septuagint is what the apostles and the disciples used. It's older than the one you're using now. All right, anyway. Here's the Septuagint version. It says, and the blood shall be for you as a sign on the houses. There you are, and I will see the blood, and I will. Oh, we got an older version that uses protect. Okay. You and there shall not be a plague among you to destroy whenever I strike in the land of Mitzrayim and Egypt. Okay, all right. And Yahuah will pass by to smite the Egyptians, and I will see the blood upon the lintels and upon both of the doorposts, and Yahuah will pass by the door and will not suffer the destroyer to enter into your houses to smite it. So, here's a pass. That might work. And then 27 says, then you shall say to them, this Pesach is a sacrifice to Yahuah, who protected the houses of the sons of Israel in Mitzrayim when he struck the Egyptians, but our houses he preserved. All right. So for those that don't know anything about the Septuagint, this is just a little brief history for you. The Septuagint, the earliest extinct Bible translation, began in the 3rd century BCE, okay, or if you want to use the term BC, still retain the proper understanding in 2 of the 3 cases. So if you keep going more, I didn't decide to show more, but the majority of it is to mean to protect, okay? So Pesach in 12 and Isaiah 31:5 means to protect, have mercy on, or save. The noun Pesach refers to the sacrifice or the protection when Elohim protected the people from destroyer Moloch. Okay, how are we doing so far? All right. How does this help you with the term we've discussed today? This will be the last slide, and then it'll be questions after that.
So how does the term Pesach help us?
Everything that we discussed so far, how does it now help you? We saw what happened when we read about the story, right? And then from that, we learned about the word Pesach, and then from that, we got to realize all this memorial that we're doing is for a reason, is to teach our children and for us to know about it, but why? Okay.
All right. Well, just to piggyback on what he said.
I like lamb back. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. It's okay. It's okay. Oh, I got you. I understand. I got you. It's okay. We got something over here.
That was a common vernacular.
Probably for several reasons, but like one, it's like I don't want to call it a pattern, but it's a pattern. It's definitely gonna happen. Maybe not in the same exact ways, but like in Revelation, to talk about a lot of stuff that happened in Egypt. A lot of
they got to put that mic a little closer.
Yeah, so a lot of that stuff is gonna happen again. So it's just like, the memorial is for like us practicing to go back to the land, and then second, because like a lot of that stuff is going to happen again in the last days.
Okay, so in the second Exodus, if you understand the first Exodus, it should help you with the second Exodus, okay?
For many years, hearing Passover, the emphasis is reflecting on how the judgment passed over you, putting the blood on the doorpost and such. But with the explanation today, just thinking about protection, even as we sit here in the time that we're in, affirmed in protection, and what's to come forth, protection. But the agreement for that protection, keeping the commands, keeping his statutes, keeping his judgments, and remembering that and sharing that with your children, that your protection, this is where your power is, this is where your protection is, regardless of the army or whatever around you. This is what you hold fast to. And so with this better understanding now going forward, protection, protection, and remembering that. Don't forget it, because man will not save you. Chariots and horses will not save you, but his power will.
And you said, who will fight your battle?
Yahuah will.
Okay, good. Okay. All right. Number one, This day is about protection or being spared by Yahuah and his destroying Malach. Okay? We are to remove leaven out of our houses physically and spiritually. So we just don't do spring cleaning and then you still got a bunch of stuff in you. But Father, protect me. Okay? There's some work that we have to do even within ourselves. Number 3, this day can be a picture of sin, but not necessarily being unclean. What's the difference? Anyone? All right, so think about it. Normally, for years, we would look at unclean and sin as being synonymous, right? But is there a way to be unclean but not sin? Okay, give me some examples.
Touch a dead body, you're unclean, but you sin.
Okay. Dead body, you touch it, you're unclean, but you didn't sin. Okay.
Be on your nidah, have an issue.
Woman on her nidah. Okay. You're unclean. That's something that you guys can't help. We pray for you guys every month. Okay. All right. Intercourse, right? So these things can make you unclean, but that doesn't necessarily mean you sinned. Number 4, if you're holding things against one another, you are really protecting it in a negative way. Okay? This will eventually eat you up, or the whole lump becomes leaven. A little leaven leavens the whole lump. Think about how leaven or yeast works. Back in ancient times, old leaven, you take old leaven and mix it with the new leaven. This will help the bread to rise faster. That's the old way. The new leaven works differently. You add new or fresh ingredients into the unleavened dough, let it sit for some time. Then when you bake it, you have or become a fresh loaf. And that's what I said. We'll talk about that next year. Okay? So there's difference between something that's old leaven and new leaven. Okay? Number 5, how are we as a people going to walk out of Mitzrayim if you will, with a bunch of leaven? Meaning, we understand how it works, right? But we also know that we read that there's going to be a second Exodus coming. Everyone's familiar with that, right? So if there's a second Exodus coming, how are you going to come out? You think you're going to bring leaven with you at that point? You think you're going to bring some leaven into his kingdom? You think any of that's going to happen? Okay, so we got to recognize that there's some things that need to happen. We need to work on. Number 6, we will have, when will his word change your heart and purge the old leaven from you? 7, if you want his protection, you must follow his instructions. He is your door. Mashiach is the blood on it. Remember, he says, I stand at the door. So whose door is that? That's your heart, right? But there's some work that we have to do, all right? So, getting ready for Pesach. This is what we've been doing, right? Everybody been cleaning and smell like pine oil and bleach and everything else, right? Talking about the blood over the heart, right? It's the sign of the oath. This is really good in Israel. This is technically unleavened bread in Israel, and it's really good. Okay? I look forward to someone making it like this one day. Oh, no. No, they wouldn't let me get that on the plane. I don't even think it would have made it to the plane. All right. Okay, and then obviously allowing us to become light, right? Cleansing all that stuff out of our system, getting with our brother and get with our sister, purge all that stuff out, start fresh, start new with one another, okay? Okay, yes, Sheilot, any questions, comments? This will be the time. Okay.
Go ahead, I'll be on.
Shalom, Lord.
Shalom. I need you a little closer to your mic. Is it an Android phone? Android, or is it an Apple?
Are you able to hear me now?
Oh, there you go. Ken.
I just had a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
First, I've got to all the missions out there. But I did have a question in regards to destroying.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned, is that the same molech of, I believe, Leviticus 18:21?
Okay, so it doesn't specify which one. I will say that you'll read about it again in Psalms, and you'll read about it in the Dead Sea Scrolls, but it doesn't give you exactly who that one is. Because in the Dead Sea Scrolls and in some other places, they call them destroyers, plural, not singular.
Okay, so there were more than one molech. So molech essentially.
Malak. We don't want no Molech. Malakim.
That is, does it mean destroyer, or?
He's asking, does Moloch mean the destroyer?
No, Malak literally just means a messenger. It translated in English as angel.
Okay, so that.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
He's like a ninja with this microphone. So without those two Malachims, would they be similar, or are they similar to the ones that were that destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah? Is that the same word for those?
Right. So it doesn't use that for Sodom and Gomorrah. It used Enosh, but the difference, I guess, is that he did have two witnesses there with, Yahuah. And so they can be one of those. I'm just saying I don't want to give the name. I don't want to say this is exactly this. I'm just simply saying that he has destroying messengers, plural. To say the name of them, now, in the Dead Sea Scrolls, they give you a couple of names of them. So they do that. And since I'm saying Dead Sea Scrolls, before I keep going on, does anyone know what I mean when I say Dead Sea Scrolls? Who don't? That's a better way for me to do it, because I don't want to say stuff and no one's understanding what I'm saying. If you heard of Dead Sea Scrolls, great. If you haven't, it's books that are very old, that predates the Masoretic text. And I say Masoretic text, this is what you have today. The King James, for an example, is a Masoretic textbook, meaning the Old Testament, as it's commonly called, is from the Masoretes. Right, that's where you get that translations from Genesis to Malachi or Genesis to Chronicles, depending on which your translation. And then as far as the Matthews to Revelations, or Matzah to Hikalut, or Chazon, that book there, they were using a lot of the Septuagint writings. They could not have used the Masoretic text. That didn't even exist during their day. So that's why I would say you might want to get familiar with the Septuagint. If you're trying to be a little bit more like the things that they read, I'm saying you might want to go a little bit older than where you are. But we use King James because everybody's pretty much familiar with King James or ESV, so this is why. But ESV, for an example, is starting to go back and do some altering based off of newfound evidence of Scripture. Okay, anyone else?
I was wondering if you go back over the sense and the strife under the outside comprehension.
Okay, so you said go back over contention and strife. I didn't go over at all. Yeah, what I shared was basically is they share the same name in Hebrew. Matzah, like unleavened bread. Also, matzah also means strife and contention. So I want everyone to go over the scriptures in Isaiah and Mishlei or Proverbs and read about why is it translated as strife and contention there. And then we'll learn about it as I go over the etymology of words. I haven't went over the etymology of it yet. Okay. Anyone else? Don't be shy. I know you're hungry. I know your stomach is touching your back.
Hi, Shalom. This is Kenesha from Kansas City. If I was not able to remove all of the, I'm new to the walk. But if I was not able to remove all of the leaven, just me taking a self-evaluation of doing the removing the leaven, I just wanted to have a clear understanding there. Is that okay?
Well, it says you'll be cut off from among your people. However, it's something that right now what we're in today is practicing ground. This is where we're at. We're not in the land. There's not a temple here. So this gives us the ability right now to go back over everything. There's a time where this is going to happen again. If you want to read Ezekiel, starting about chapter 41 through chapter 48, you'll see the next temple being built, and you're going to notice that they're going to be doing these things all over again. But right now, it gives you the practice to get it right. And the reason why I say it that way is because he knows that we were scattered everywhere. So we've inherited so much stuff. So we're now trying to detox the stuff that we have. So we got to learn how to do that. So as you're growing in it, whatever you are having a struggle with now, prayerfully as you continue to grow and learn, that you'll be able to overcome it and that not be your crutch, if you will, or your leaven for you. So right now you do have the opportunity to get it right. But if you were at that time, you'll be cut off.
So thank you.
Anyone else?